All right. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for being here on today for your Minding Your Money podcast. My name is Deb Howard. I'm your abundant life coach. I help just amazing folks overcome limiting beliefs about money so that they can live their most abundant life. We are so excited to be here for our bi-weekly podcast. And I am here, of course, you already know, with my good friend Love. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, Deb, I'm excited to be here too. I am Love Pate, the anointed architect and mindset mentor. I help female leaders of faith shift their mindset in order to build structurally sound connections to their true identity so that through a strong sense of value, they can see a clear pathway from their now into the next evolution of themselves. I am looking forward to this topic today, Deb.
Yes, yes. This is one of my probably favorite topics. When we talk about money, is handling money with family and friends. Listen, I already know it's challenging at times. I have dealt with it in many ways and in many forms. And hopefully today we'll have a few maybe tips for our listeners so that they don't make some of the same mistakes that I have made. I've made some mistakes when it came to this area. And Lord, so we're gonna get right to it because yeah, time is valuable too. All right, so the first thing that I would advise for those of you when it comes to kind of getting our finances in order, right? Is to set a budget for gifts. Now, I know you love Cousin Pooh and Aunt Martha and listen, all the folks, right? And it's good to do that. Wouldn't you agree, love? It is good to give gifts, right? Give and it shall be given unto you. But usually the gift that you give is not as good as the gift that you get. I'm just gonna say it.
Deb, as I was saying, we don't give to receive. However, when we are being intentional about our spending, setting the budget helps us not go overboard, right? It helps
Yes.
us not be sitting there like, well, I gave him a $50 gift and this show looked like it might be from the Dollar Tree. But and though it's not about that, setting the budget creates the boundaries for saying this is the limits in which I'm going to go. I'm going to give them the best gift I can give within my boundaries, and it helps me stay on track with how I am managing my finances and now not having to look at other places to put the money back that I overspent. This is my thought.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, one of the things at one point, right? I think we all, those of us who have, bigger families, at one point, I had a bunch of birthdays, y'all, due at the end of the year, at the holiday time. My parents' anniversary and everybody's birthday and anniversary was in November and December. Lord Jesus. Well, you trying to spend money for the kids and do all the things. So I don't know if they even have this anymore, but love, do you remember some banks used to offer a Christmas fund where you could put a little money in every month or every week or whenever they take it out of your paycheck so that you would have some money to spend for the end of the year. Yeah,
Right.
I would do that. Now, even after that kind of went away, I would say that one of the areas that you can lose your budget is in this area of gift giving. And
Yeah.
all and it takes planning. That's all I'm gonna say about that. It takes planning. You can do it. You know everybody's birthday is. You need to, and you know all the anniversaries. You know what holidays are coming that you celebrate that require gift exchange. So at the beginning of your year, or at the end of the year, whenever, you should have that all laid out already on your calendar. You don't have to go buy gifts. I buy gifts sometimes as I see. I'm gonna be honest, especially if I
Right.
see a sale. But it does require some planning. All
I
right.
would also
So
say, you know what, Deb, just one more thing I would say also don't be an emotional gift giver, right?
yes.
Setting the budget allows you to not get caught in emotions about giving gifts. It allows you to continue to be strategic because what oftentimes happens for our kids' birthdays, for our kid at Christmas and different things like that, we typically overspend or overgive because we're caught in the emotion of gift giving. So I think it's important to stay, monitor that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because that's we could talk about this all day. But let's move on to number two: avoid lending money. Avoid lending money. If you can, avoid lending money, right, to family and friends. And listen, I know this can be a personal subject for some, because I know I can't have my family, blah 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 blah. Okay, I get it because I've had those same challenges. I would say if you're going to give money, give money. That's what I would say. If you can't afford to give someone that money and not expect it back, that has always been something that I lived by. At some point, I don't know when, years ago, I just decided if someone asked me to borrow money, if I have it to give, I will give it. I'm not
Right.
going to look for it in return because one of the things that happens, I lost my earring. One of the things that happens is that it can damage the relationship, right? I
Yes.
mean, you blended money to your cousins and stuff, and nobody want to come to Thanksgiving dinner now because I owe her $50, I owe her $100. I would say avoid lending money altogether, and find other ways to help. Right, I do that too. Find other ways that you can help that person, whatever that looks like for you. I'll give you one example that I had a family member that didn't have a place to stay, um, and they asked for money. They're always asking for the money now. They asked for money for a hotel. And I didn't give the money because there was some history there, but I
Yes.
did go ahead and pay for a couple of nights. I said, listen, I'm gonna pay for 2 nights, figure it out after that.
Right.
Okay. So I would not lend money because most of the time, I don't know if I got any witnesses, but you ain't getting that money back. And you're just gonna really damage that relationship. What do you think, love?
No, I agree. I think I've been on both ends, so I have to be honest. I've been the one who's had to borrow, and I've also been the one who had to, to lend. And I
Mhm.
think that I agree with what Adrienne, she left a comment saying if one lends money, don't expect to get it back. I think you need to look at your budget and decide, can I give this? And if I don't give it back, am I going to be okay? If you're not going to be okay, then just make the decision not to give so that it doesn't create the friction or so that you're not sitting on the day that is due, like, where's my money? Where's my money? You
Mhm.
get what I'm saying? If you operate with that concept that I am just going to give it, but at the same time, I think give it with the practical principle, so that you don't have to continue to give. Like my daughter called me, this is an example, like just yesterday. And she says, Mom, I'm hungry. And I said, okay, you want to buy me a pizza? And I was like, well, I'd like to buy you some groceries. And she
Mm.
was like, well, I was just thinking about right now. I'm hungry right now. I said, well, you get hungry every day. So if I buy you a pizza today, tomorrow at this same time, you're going to be calling me back and say, Mom, I'm hungry. Because you're going to get hungry every day, right? So if I give her money and say, listen, I need you to properly budget this and go get some groceries, find some things you can stretch throughout the week, then you
Mhm.
already have a plan, not just for today, but throughout the rest of the week or into the next week.
And that's wisdom, right? I mean, I know that's your baby, but that's wisdom, and we have to use wisdom when it comes to some of those people that are asking for help, and especially, let me say, I'm talking to high value individuals in this audience. So you are going to continue to increase in your capacity to earn, right, and to accumulate wealth. And so that is going to be a challenge when people begin to see you prosper, right? That happened in my own life, and I don't think I'm all of that. But as people begin to see, oh, she bought a house, oh, she got a car, oh, she got this, that, they believe that you have money to lend, and worse than that, and we're not gonna get deep into that, but they feel entitled. So you got to deal with that too. But look,
Especially with them children we have. We love them though.
yes, yes. So I'm telling you, yeah, avoid lending money. And if you do lend money, get anything you do in writing, right? I know that this can be awkward, but get it in writing, right? If you are going to lend money, I mean, if you really need that money back, now I'm still going to recommend that if you give somebody, give them the money, right? If you don't have it to give, don't lend it because yeah, it's a whole thing. But any other agreements, if you're having someone rent a room, right, in your home or borrow your car, you're going to rent your car out for a period of time. Let me borrow your car for a few weeks until I get it in writing. Right.
Yes.
I know we don't like to get things in writing. I know I trust you. It's not about trust. Right. And you can have that conversation with that person. It's not about trust. It's about, I need to make sure that we have clear expectations about what's required. Right.
Right.
And that does it. Right. You can put the limits there. Hey, you're going to have the car for 3 weeks. You're going to drive it to work and back, whatever it is you want to put in that agreement. Or if it's a room that you're renting, right, in your home. I've had family members live with me. I haven't done that. And believe me, there were times when I wish I had, right? Because this was in the past. Really get that in writing. I'm gonna help you out with bills. Well, what does that look like? Let's sit down and put it in writing. Doesn't have to be a contract. I mean, just get a sheet of paper, put it in writing, right? Have them initial it and sign it. It doesn't have to be real formal. Yeah, you're gonna stay with me. You're going to pay me $100 a week or whatever, right? Or I'm gonna pay the light bill or whatever the agreement is, so that there's no confusion, right? Because people forget. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt, right? People forget. People, the things happen, right? Love, things happen.
Yeah, I'll say for me where this comes up the most is when I'm doing business with family and friends. Not necessarily in the borrowing and lending, is when you have a viable business and you begin to utilize your business for family and friends. And a lot of times you feel, like we do more freebies, but I had an instructor tell me that free doesn't feed the kids. And so where this comes into play is, how do you really handle business? This is a business. Even though I love you or whatever, this is how I bring in income. This is how I keep my household afloat. Definitely being very clear in how we're going to handle business. If there are aspects of it I'm going to give for free, that's fine. But these aspects are the ones in which I'm going to require payment for. If you're deciding to reduce the cost because it's family and friends, but still write it out so there's an expectation, because oftentimes, because it's a family or friend relationship, you end up over giving and overextending more than what you intended as it relates to a business agreement.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, especially those of us who are entrepreneurs. I love that because it is true. When you have a business, the family and the friends always want something for free.
But
Free
I
is a
believe
low
they love
frequency.
you. If they love you by investing in your business, right?
Yes.
Because when they feel that it's worth investing, people on the outside say, well, I should invest too. If moms and uncles and cousins and friends say, no, I'm not going to accept your services for free, I actually see what you're doing and I believe in what you're doing. That's a sign of investment, a sign of belief.
And free is a low frequency. And if your family don't buy from your child, move on. Your family might not be your audience, but
They
don't
may
give
not
it.
be your audience, and that's
Don't
okay
give it
too.
away.
That's true. That's okay
That
too.
is so true. And the next one kind of goes with that. Discuss expectations. Listen, if you're not going to get it in writing, one thing that I think when it comes to money, I'll just say this, is that we just need to communicate, be open and honest about what we expect and what we expect from them, right? What they should expect from us and what we expect from them. Be clear, right? Sometimes and again, I don't condone lending money, but I know some of us gonna do it anyway. So be clear about what this is, right? You watch Judge Judy. Is it a loan or is it a gift? Right? Be clear, especially if you expect that money back. I'm giving you $200. I prefer you put it in writing though, but be clear about it. Discuss what
Right.
the expectations are. Let them have the freedom to come to you if things change. Listen, if things change, I'm flexible. It can be a positive conversation.
Yeah.
But I think we have to be comfortable in discussing our expectations, whether it's money, whether it's you living with me or you borrowing a car or whatever it is, right? We have to be comfortable because these are the resources that God gave us. How about
Right.
that?
And we have to be good. We have to be good stewards over it. And I think you also have to look at the fact that when you set expectations or you have clear standards of how you operate with money, you're actually teaching too. It's not just an idea of let me make sure I have the standards on how I get the money back. You're utilizing yourself as a like visible expectation, visible teaching to those that are around you of how they can be better stewards as well, especially for our kids or those that are watching us. And those that interact who may not in the past have been good with money, they start to see that you set this standard. This is the way you handle. And then they may start interacting with other people in the same way. And it just becomes a principle that they can repeat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're not going to get away without talking about this one. Do not co-sign. I know I put limit there because I'm trying to be gracious with y'all today because we having a little fun, but do not co-sign. How about that? Do not co-sign. If I could tell you one thing, I would tell you do not co-sign for anybody's, not nobody's. I have done it enough for all of y'all out there. For everybody. Do not do it. Okay. Do not co-sign for a car unless you're ready to buy that car. And if you're ready to buy the car, go and buy the car in your name. Okay. Because guess what? You co-sign for the car. I know I got a witness out there. You co-sign for the car. Them people get behind on the car. Who they calling? Because they're not calling the person who asked you to co-sign. They calling the person that co-signed, right? Listen. We could have had a whole show about this. Do not co-sign. I know you love them, right? I know, brother, sister, best. I know they really need a car. If they had this car, if the bank don't want to lend them the money, and that's what they in business to do, is lend money. So if the bank don't want to lend them the money, I'm just saying, why in the world do you feel like you know something that the bank don't know? Because they didn't check brother and sister out. They didn't looked at their credit. They didn't. Do not co-sign. And y'all, I'm having some fun with it, but do not co-sign.
It can have some real. It can definitely have real repercussions.
Don't do it. I have done it so much, and it has not one time did it work out. All right. My credit was jacked up every time. All right, because I didn't have the money. I co-signed for cars, didn't have the money to pay. Child, it wasn't even a good 3 months. And these people talking about repoing. So I've had repos on my credit. I mean, we have enough challenges managing our own stuff without trying to manage somebody else's stuff. So when you co-sign for something, whether it's a car, whether it's an apartment, whatever it is, you are basically saying, I'm going to manage that bill. I'm going to pay that bill. And if you're not able to pay that bill, I'm going to give you the same advice. If you can't pay for it without hurting, then don't do it. Because when you co-sign, you basically saying, if they can't pay, I'm going to pay for it. Right. And even if they don't want to pay, I'm going to pay for it. Right. Love, what'd you say about that? I mean, I say avoid it.
No, I agree with you. I've had some bad experiences, even especially when I was younger. We was young and we love them. So, just co-signing and then realize these people ain't paying. I will agree that we shouldn't co-sign. I have done it. I've even had to, do it for my children. But it can have bad repercussions. I think the biggest thing is, I'm going to go back to my previous statement, is teach them how to build their credit in such a way that they become a viable source that the bank can trust in. You help them, right? Sometimes you clip their wings, right? Because, you co-sign and they don't pay for it. So they don't really understand the repercussions because the lender is calling you, right? So they just see it. This is just something I didn't pay. But when you teach them and they become the person that the lenders call,
Mhm.
then it means something different. It
Mhm.
means something totally different. So I would just say that this needs to really be, teaching our kids, teaching our relatives, teaching our friends just how to have a better relationship with money and understanding the rules of engagement with money so that they don't have those feelings. They feel some type of way when you say no. They
Mhm.
understand why you're saying no. You've worked hard to build your credit. You've worked hard to build your, your business credit. And honestly, sometimes it's just not worth the risk.
Yeah, yeah, and I would say just like with everything else, there are other ways we can help. All
True.
right. If you really want to help, there are other ways to help that person. But jeopardizing your own financial status, right, for them is not the way to do it. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you love yourself, right, I need to keep my wealth standard at a certain level, right? I need to keep, especially credit, I need to keep my credit at a certain level. And usually it really boils down to choice, right? I'm just going to say it. So if it's y'all, I'm in Houston. It is thundering like crazy. So we gonna finish this up. But when it comes to cars, many times anybody can get a car. It's just a matter of how much they're gonna have to pay down. Maybe we can help them with the down payment. Maybe you can make a different selection of cars. Sometimes the selection of car can dictate whether or not the company will finance, right? I'm just giving some tips, Same thing with apartments. Sometimes it's just where they choose to live, right? There is some place for you to live that doesn't require me to put my name on the contract. We need to find that place. Okay. And maybe it's not as convenient. Maybe it's not as gorgeous as you want, but that is the lesson, right? Managing your finances will enable you to have whatever it is that you want. And right now, we're going to use this as an opportunity to build. So there are ways we can have that conversation without feeling like, we just completely neglecting them or threw them out, et cetera, et cetera. People gonna feel the way they gotta feel anyway. And if they don't understand that you are trying to take care of you and your family, that's another discussion too. But I would just say if you can avoid it, child, avoid it if you can. But if you are going to do it, listen, same thing. I would make a separate agreement about that. I would get it in writing. All right. I know you have your contract with the company. I would have a separate agreement. I'm co-signing for you. This is the expectation. You will pay the note. You will pay the bill on this every month, blah, 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 blah. Write it out. Again, I know y'all didn't watch Judge Judy. How many times? Come on now. Have you seen this in legal cases? When you co-sign, you are responsible. So anyway, don't do it. Love, any final words from you? I think this has just been a great discussion. We could have talked about this for the rest of the day, but we don't have the rest of the day. So
It's definitely been a great discussion. I would think that we help those that we love, our friends, our relatives, by teaching them how to live beyond today, right? Living beyond the moment, right? And so we teach them that in how to not live beyond their means, so they don't need a co-signer, right? How to, not be the borrower. What does it mean to finally get in a position where you can be the lender? And then what does it look like for them? Right? It's one thing when you're the one always asking, but then what happens when it flips? What does it feel like to you for having someone come to you, to be borrowed? I think that the biggest thing is that we need to teach those we love how to be good managers and good stewards. And that's how we help them build wealth and have the right relationship with money.
absolutely. When we're a good steward, we're setting examples. So it's got to start with us. So listen, guys, thank you all for being here. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for listening to this replay of this broadcast. If you're listening in here, I want to remind you quickly, Kingdom Wealth Warriors Summit is coming up October 19th, 2024. Listen, I hope to see you in the place. Go ahead and go. You can go to wealthwarriorsarise.com or debhowardonline.com. I have that scrolling. Either one of those sites will take you to the registration link. Listen, it's going to be amazing. We got some great speakers coming, and we're going to get even more discussion about things that we can do in order to ensure that we manage our finances effectively and continue to build wealth, because that's what it's about. Listen, No more poverty. No more poverty thinking. No more poverty looks. No more
Come on.
poverty. Listen, nothing poor about us. We are in the kingdom. So I am hyped today. Listen, thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining. And listen, we'll be here in 2 weeks. We're here every other Friday, I believe, at around 6:30 a.m. Listen, you know what I'm gonna say. Go have your most abundant day. Take care.